I am a medical microbiologist, and my main research interest is in antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So what we're really looking at is how do bacteria become resistant to drugs that we normally would prescribe to treat human infections. So there are broad clinical applications, especially because antibiotic resistance is considered to be one of the biggest health threats of the 21st century. It's estimated by the World Health Organization that unless we change something, by the year 2050, more than 10 million people a year will die of drug-resistant infections. So that's, kind of the overall goal of my lab, is to try to figure out why do bacteria become antibiotic resistant, what genes contribute to that, to try to identify new antibiotic compounds, which we do both in the research lab and in the microbiology teaching lab, and to try and generate preventative therapies for drug-resistant bacteria, so developing vaccines to help prevent these infections from even being able to establish. My students in my lab, once they're done, hopefully they will have a broad range of molecular and microbiology techniques, everything from sterile technique and culturing microorganisms, working in a biosafety level 2 setting, to things like doing PCR and running gels. And we even have some projects that involve gene sequencing and genome analysis, so a number of my students have a lot of bioinformatics techniques as well. I've had lots of success actually with freshmen and sophomores in the lab. I would always encourage students, especially if you think you might even just a little bit be interested in research, don't wait until the end of your academic career. If you can get into the lab as a freshman or a sophomore, you have the opportunity to do so much. And I've had students who have started as freshmen or sophomores that have been on papers, that have presented their work at national meetings, and that have been very, very successful because of the time they spent working in the lab and the relationship that they establish with the faculty mentor. That's the best way. If you need a letter of recommendation, that's the best way to do it. And if you put that off towards the very end, you're not going to get out of it what you could. So I am always happy to take freshmen and sophomores. You don't have to have gotten an A in microbiology to be a successful microbiologist. One of my very, very first students was a student named Tyler, and he joined my lab probably the first month I was here at Fresno State. He was very excited, and I told him, I don't have anything going on in my lab, I'm brand new, and he said, I don't care, what you do sounds interesting and I really want to work with you. And so he worked with me for the final 2 years of his bachelor's degree. He got to be on a paper about a really important bacterium called Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And he took the experience, he took the ability to do research on a clinically related bacterium, and now he is attending medical school in Michigan. Everybody experiences setbacks. And it can be as simple as, I've had exams where I did really poorly. And I thought, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this because I did so poorly on this exam. But, actually I am cut out for this. I just need to apply myself in a different way. Or in my PhD lab, I was really good at doing this one particular technique, but when I had to apply it to a different question, I couldn't get it to work. And my PI was questioning me, and he said, are you sure you actually know how to do this technique? And I said, I'm sure there's something about this particular application that is different. And he didn't believe me. He tried it himself, and he couldn't get it to work either. And then he finally believed me, and I said, look, I've done all this research. I read this paper where they tried a different technique to get the same thing done. Can I please try this now? I've been beating my head for 6 months. And he said, I guess, but it's probably not going to work. And it did work. And that's how I ended up getting my first publication, is because I was able to overcome that experience in the lab where I couldn't get what I wanted to get to work by finding a new technique, by attacking it from a different angle. And I think that's really what science is. If you're doing something in science and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you're not a good researcher. It doesn't mean you're not a talented scholar. It just means you probably have to come at it from a different angle. And so that experience as a PhD student was really horrible when I was going through it. But because of that, I now have the confidence that if something's not going well, I'll just try a different way to do it, and eventually I'm going to get it to work because I know I can.